The Bible shows us why they want war. It's despicable, it's evil, and it's happening. There's no two ways around that. If we open a good book, and we're going to start with Ecclesiastes, all right, then we're going to go to Isaiah. Now, look, I don't think Ecclesiastes was divinely inspired. I don't think Solomon was a good guy. I don't see any reason to think that the Song of Songs, for instance, is divinely inspired, that we can find some inspiration and love of God or Jesus from the Song of Songs. I don't see that at all. Maybe Psalms, maybe Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, maybe some. I don't know, whatever. But definitely not the Song of Songs. But then, Josh, you're not a Christian if you don't believe everything in the Bible. No, just because the Bible is put together by men doesn't inherently mean it's divinely inspired. Now, we can talk about David, for instance. I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned that are absolutely divinely inspired. The issue with Solomon, of course, is that you're like, well, what are the lessons from Solomon that's divine inspiration? And if you just read Song of Songs, you realize there isn't anything. There's nothing there other than a narcissistic guy who's getting jiggy with one of his harem ladies. There's just no two ways around that. Isaiah, on the other hand, woo, Nelly. Ooh, Nelly. Isaiah, on the other hand. No, so am I picking and choosing? I guess I kind of am. Isn't that weird? Because you're sitting there thinking, how come some books got DX'd and other books got retained? Well, human beings created this thing. The words of God, as written by, supposedly Moses, we don't know that. We don't know actually who wrote the first five. We attribute it to Moses, but we can't prove that. That's okay. I absolutely think it's divinely inspired. But just because it's in a book doesn't make it divinely inspired. And we know that because of various translations from the original into the English, which is now in the New Standard, the NIV, the KJV, all the various iterations of the Bible. It gets changed over time. To sit there and say, well, the KJV is divinely inspired, but not the NIV, I'm like, that literally doesn't make sense. The Catholic Bible is divinely inspired, but not the KJV. I was just like, come on. No. God is above a book. God is everything. And his son, he sent to die for us. It's just, I don't get it, man. I don't get the level of, it's not quite vitriol, but it's like, you should see some of the comments you get, and you're like, look, I'm on a journey here, man. And the comments that you get are like, well, I'll pray for you on your journey, but it's like, are you really praying for me in terms of my journey, or are you praying for me that I see things your way? And I'll share with you another thing. It's like I'm reading about. All right, let's go into this first. I'll go into a little bit deeper. I'm just reading about Jesus quoting the scripture, the Bible, and you're like, okay. And then people say, well, I'll look into it here in a second. So we're going to start with Ecclesiastes. All right. Here's some great stuff, man. Words from a wise man's mouth are gracious, but a fool is consumed by his own lips. At the beginning, his words are folly. At the end, they are wicked madness, and the fool multiplies words. There's some great, great stuff in here. And it's so full of wonderful stuff. But let's not make Solomon, the guy's a clown. He's a clown. And he's sitting there saying it's better to be poor with a hungry belly than be rich. I'm like, it's easy for you to say because you're rich. You got a harem of, 700 wives and friggin', well, they're just making that up to show how wealthy he is. Okay, so there's a harem of 350 wives. Come on, man. Anyway, so we're going to start here. Right here. 1 second. Look, Fauci has some good stuff to say. Fauci. Read his New England Journal of Medicine article from February 2020, and I'm not going to say what he said in there. I'll let you find it if it's still available. And you'll see this is what I said from day one about something that happened. From day one, Fauci was new, but something happened where they said, nope, we got to change. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Fauci changed his tune on a friggin' dime. What happened? That guy said in New England Journal of Medicine, February 2020, what was happening. Something is severe. Something that happens every year is a severe something. His words. I actually got a strike because I did a video on that exact article from Fauci. So this is literally from Fauci's words. New England Journal of Medicine, February 2020. Fauci. He co-authored it with two other people. I got to find out who those two other people were, by the way. It'd be interesting to see. Because what happened to them? All right, so let's read. All right, so this is Ecclesiastes 7, and we're going to go down to 7:26. I find more bitter than death the woman who is a snare, whose heart is a trap, and whose hands are chains. The man who pleases God will escape her, but the sinner she will ensnare. All right, I find more bitter than death the woman who is a snare. All right, so we can kind of say, okay, that's a chick who's saying, "Look at me, I'm so hot," and blah blah blah, and she's attracting a man who, let's put it this way, he's led by places he shouldn't be led by. All right, I get that in of itself. I get it. Don't put God before, or don't put your life before your God. I get that. But adding one thing to another to discover the scheme of things, while I was still searching but not finding, I found one upright man among 1,000, but not one upright woman among them all. This only have I found: God made man upright, but men have gone in search of many schemes. Again, I found one upright man among 1,000, but not one upright woman among them all. Yeah, that's great. Now we know Jesus was basically, I hate to say the feminist because that entails politics, but Jesus was huge pro woman. We know that. But so basically saying a woman's going to trap you and basically put herself before God. On top of that, I can't find any good women. All right. So let's go now to Isaiah, shall we? And we're going to see here. And this is Isaiah 3:25. All right. Let's see. Your men will fall by the sword, your warriors in battle. The gates of Zion will lament and mourn. Destitute, she will sit on the ground. She'll be destroyed, Zion. In that day, 7 women will take hold of one man and say, "We will eat our own food and provide our own clothes. Only let us be called by your name. Take away our disgrace." Isn't that interesting? So 7 ladies are going to go to one guy to say, "Look, we'll do everything, but just let us fall under your harem. Protect us, dear sir." And yet, right before that, 2 books before that in Ecclesiastes, Solomon saying, "I couldn't find one good woman." Well, maybe Solomon because he sent them off to war to die in battle. And now you got 350, 700, 1,000 chicks at your command, a beck and call. And then they write a song of songs about you, how, they love you so much. And a song of songs, this lady says, "I'm black as night," or whatever she says. And even though I'm black, you still love me, and blah, blah. It's literally, you're like sitting there thinking, this guy is just full of himself, man. So he's going to, and then you look at what David did to Uriah. He sent Uriah off to war so he could get jiggy with his wife. And Uriah died. And this is what makes the Bible, in my opinion, so penetrating, is because it's full of just clowns. Full of them. And yet, I mean, which is what I love, because if the Bible is a cult or something like that, they'd all be freaking, just tearing it up and, no faults. But the Bible shows the worst of humankind, which is freaking awesome. That's why I love it. Because, like, man, David was a clown. Solomon was a huge clown. You know what I'm saying? And look at freaking Peter. He saw Jesus' miracles in front of his own eyes, and yet he denied him 3 times as Jesus proclaimed he would. Crazy. And yet we're still, here we are today, to this day, bowing before the Lord Jesus Christ. I find that so humbling and incredible. But God isn't this. This is not God. God is this, the entirety of all things. Saying you're going to find God here is, no, I find God in the butter. What did Jesus say about homosexuality? And here's Jesus commenting about flowers. "Consider how the wild flowers grow. They do not labor or spin, yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these." The glory of just is right there in the flowers. Such a beautiful, look at a butterfly. Oh, do you hear that? Jesus is saying the splendor of a wildflower, which doesn't labor or spin, was better than all of Solomon's wealth. Oh, man, it's just so, man. And I don't think you're saying, "Lord Josh, you're saying the book." No, I'm saying this is part of the incredible nature of God, man. Jeez. God is. I sit there in awe. I literally think, be like children, be in awe of creation. Don't be in awe of creation because of book, but because creation itself. Be in awe of God's divine work because of creation itself. All right, so let's just go real quick, and we'll go why they want war. Is that anyway? So just going back to what I was saying, it's just so frustrating to me. So here's a random question on PuritanBoard.com. I was having a discussion with someone who stated that they only believe what Jesus said and not in the Old Testament, as this guy said it was not reliable. Anyway, so when Jesus quotes the Old Testament, do you believe these verses by themselves or the whole book he quoted from? Anyway, long story short. So the guy says, right here, the person appears to be agnostic and really all over the map. Not really much logic to his thought. In any case, got me curious. All right, so again, they don't have much logic to their thought because they think they're on a different train than I am. Because I have logic to my thought, that guy doesn't. It drives me up the wall. He goes right here, and then another guy says, an illogical Gnostic, isn't that redundant? See, this is the kind of stuff that drives me up the wall. Because I've heard this as well. It's like, oh, you don't like this, or you don't like gun control regulation, or you don't like, or you're, freaking scared crapless of nuclear war, or you don't like, what else they say, climate change. You're not logical, you're stupid, or you don't see things the way I see it. So you're off. You don't. You're wrong and I'm right. I hate that crap. I hate that crap because, like, just because you think differently doesn't mean you're illogical or stupid. All right. Real quick. So then he goes, yeah, it seems he is illogical. I'm going to pray for him. Appears his wife seems to be more of the problem. And I hate that. I'm going to pray for him because he doesn't see the things that I see. Oh, man. And then he goes, yeah, the problem is deeper than that with him. I just have to pray for him and his wife that God opens their eyes. Opens their eyes the way I see it. So now I'm going to pray to God to open their eyes for God to see, for them to see the things I do. See what I'm saying? That's not logical. They don't agree with me, so I'm going to pray for them so God can open their eyes because I have all the answers. I mean, how narcissistic and arrogant is that? You see what I'm saying? I mean, why? So you pray for humanity, man. I can't stand that. Look, I fall for it. I'll pray for you. When people say I'll pray for you, and they're not saying it, they're not being genuine. They're saying it because they want me to see the things they do. I'll pray for you. And look, I've done it. I get it. It's don't do that. I don't want to hear it, man. It's kind of like saying, oh, you don't believe in NASA? Well, let me show you all these pictures from NASA. That will prove to you, like, I don't believe in NASA to begin with. I'll pray for you then. Like, okay. Well, why weren't you praying me before that? If I did believe in NASA, you're not going to pray for me? You see what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you're challenging what the good book says. Well, the good book says you shouldn't challenge what the good book says. Oh, shocking that. Now, the reason they want war is for control, to kill off the men so they have access to all the women. Just like I said in the live stream yesterday, that Cold Mountain book where Nicole Kidman was in the movie, you know what I'm saying? So they sent off all the men, the working poor white people, to go fight for the rich landowners and slave owners to keep that level of insanity. Look, and don't listen to me. Read Southern Reconstruction by Phil Lay. And if you wanted to go about Haiti, well, same thing happened in Haiti. You can read about the Toussaint Rebellion in Haiti, the Black Jacobins. It's the same thing. We send off the young workers to get killed and to kill, and we are left behind to freaking gather up all the fruits of what's left over, which is a lot of times they're women, and their women need some sort of support, so their women will come crawling for us, and we can do whatever we want. So exactly, well, just read Cold Mountain, man. I mean, you just read Ersatz and the Confederacy. Ersatz is scarcity. This is why they want war, to kill off the men. And who's the biggest problem for rebellion? It's always young men. Kill them off. Why do you think they lock up all these young men in this? I mean, you think all these young men in jail. America has more locked up than any other country, to include China, because young men are the biggest threat. Now, are young men committing more crimes? Absolutely. Vast majority of those young men locked up, have they committed crimes? I don't know. A good amount certainly haven't. Not for what they're locked up for. Crazy, man. Crazy. They just locked up a guy. He counterfeited $471,000. They locked him up for 41 months. All right. Yet we have Sniffy Joe, Trump, Pence taking classified docs. You know, all these people. You see what I'm saying? Lock up people. Have people who aren't fit to serve to be or willing to be led. Have them go off to war, and that way we can get rid of them. It's just it's ancient. This is ancient methodology of how to keep control of the power. It's freaking evil. And the Republicans, Mike Pompeo, scumbag, they're doing it too. It's not just Democrats. Lindsey Grahamnesty. Why the hell Trump is going around with Lindsey Grahamnesty? I just don't understand. I don't like that guy anymore. Man. So, and look, would freaking Ron DeSantis do the same? Probably. You know what I'm saying? But he hasn't done it yet. But we shall see. Frustrating. All right. God bless. We'll see you